So we got news coming out from different people claiming that their sources are telling them that Gervonta Davis will be fighting Frank Martin next. Let's talk about that in this video. Is it true or is it false? And with that being said, we also going to talk about what Leonard Ellerbee said about a fight of this magnitude. Before we do that, make sure you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed, and let's cook. Now, a lot of y'all probably seen it already. People on Twitter talking about it's breaking news that Gervonta Davis is going to be fighting Frank Martin next. You got people coming out with videos saying that their sources are telling them that Frank Martin versus Tank Davis is next. Now, have we heard this from Gervonta Davis? No. Have we heard it from anybody in Tank Davis's team? No. Some of them even have their own platforms. Have they said it? No. Have we heard it from Leonard Ellerbee? No. Have we heard it from Floyd Mayweather? No. And let's rewind back. Have we heard it from Gervonta Davis or Frank Martin? No. So are these rumors true? Or are people just making up these rumors and sources and all this shit because they really trying to figure out who Tank Davis is fighting next? Well, let me tell y'all something. Right now, Gervonta Davis has an ankle monitor on. None of these people that's coming up with this breaking news and all these rumors, they don't even know when Tank Davis is getting that ankle monitor off. That's up to the judge, for one. Now, of course, he will be getting the ankle monitor off sometime, right? But now with this whole Frank Martin, news and rumors and things like that, it's a lie. It's a lie. People are looking at the 135-pound weight division, right? And on PBC, the names that you have is a Pitbull Cruz. Now, Pitbull Cruz is eliminated because Gervonta Davis refused to fight Pitbull Cruz. Then the next name everybody start talking about is Rayo, because all of a sudden Rayo, he jumped up in the WBA rankings, right? After one win over Chris Colbert. And so people speculating that, Rayo, he could be a potential opponent. But now everybody is talking about Frank Martin. Frank Martin that ducked Shakur Stevenson flat out because he said that he wanted another off. They was offering Frank Martin $1 million flat fee when Frank Martin's biggest payday before that was $200K. So they offered him 4 times more than he's ever had. But he said, nah, he needed an extra oomph to go in there and fight Shakur Stevenson. So I looked at it as a duck. Some people don't look at it like that. I have my opinion. Other people going to look at it different, right? But I feel that Frank Martin, in order to fight somebody like Shakur Stevenson, he felt that, hey, they're going to have to pay me a lot because, this is a fight I can lose. So if I'm going to be willing to lose my they're going to have to pay me big time. So that's how I looked at the situation. Plus, 5 months prior to announcing that him and Shakur Stevenson was fighting, Frank Martin has said that he wouldn't fight Shakur right now. Why would we fight for a little bit of money when we could wait down the line, when we both champions, when we both been on pay-per-view, and we could make mega bucks? It wouldn't make no sense for us to fight right now. So I knew the whole play the whole time with Frank Martin, and it makes sense what he said, but hey, man, you might not get to down the line and be undefeated to make a big mega fight with Shakur. We don't know what's going to happen with neither one of y'all down the line, to tell the truth. But regardless of all of that, Frank Martin is a name that people keep putting with Gervonta Davis. Now, they do have a little bit of history. We heard sparring stories come out with people claiming Frank Martin got off on Gervonta. He did him pretty bad in sparring. But, man, we always get these sparring stories. Until I see the sparring footage, I don't know what went down. Frank said before in the past that he kind of got off on Tank. It was a coach that came out and he talked about the whole story and said, man, Frank Martin was putting hands on him. He was frustrating Gervonta Davis. But like I said, man, once you get in the ring with them 8-ounce gloves on and both fighters are in tip-top condition, it's a different story. It's a different story. And I'm going to tell you like this. From what I've seen from both fighters in the ring, watching both of these fighters' whole career, Frank ain't on Gervonta Davis's level right now. I don't know if he'll ever be on the Gervonta Davis's level. This is my opinion. And I think Frank gonna get knocked the F out if they do get in the ring with each other. But like I said, this is just my opinion. So I don't take too much into that when I hear about them sparring stories, especially with certain fighters. Now, when it comes to Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, all this news that's coming out is false. You know what I'm saying? It's false. It's lies. People do this shit all the time on YouTube, and you can't listen to none of this stuff. First of all, is it a possibility that Gervonta Davis could be fighting Frank Martin next? Yeah, it's a possibility, but in my opinion, it's a slim possibility due to the fact that Leonard Ellerbee, that does business with Gervonta Davis, that usually handle all of his fight promotions and things like that when Tank do have a big fight. Leonard Ellerbee has been on record on several different occasions saying, hey, those fights ain't big enough, see, people don't know shit about business. Them two guys, they share the same fan base, and Tank ain't taking no pay cuts for nobody. I mean, y'all just gotta understand business, and fans like to run their mouth, but y'all don't know shit about the business. They share the same fan base. And Leonard is always telling you it's not enough money in those fights when basically they can go fight a Hispanic fighter and make double what they can if they fight somebody like Frank Martin. This is what Leonard Ellerbee is saying all the time. This is what Calvin Ford has backed Leonard Ellerbee up saying himself on several different occasions. Yeah, Calvin Ford. I done heard him say it on multiple occasions. They share the same fan base. This about business. Tank ain't taking no pay cuts. In this situation, it could happen. It could happen. Now, these rumors that y'all hearing is false. This just made up shit. But it could happen. And why could it happen? Even though you got Leonard Ellerbee saying that they share the same fan base and the money this and money that, and you have Calvin Ford saying the same thing. Well, this could happen because Frank Martin has already showed his cards. You know what I'm saying? He showed his cards in the Shakur Stevenson situation. He said he wanted another little oomph. He wanted a little more oomph. And so from what I was hearing, that little more oomph was an extra 500,000 or extra million. See, you already showed your hand. So yeah, Leonard Ellerbee, Gervonta Davis, Calvin Ford, the whole Gervonta Davis team will be willing to give him that little oomph because you know how much they gonna get paid on that oomph. So if that's the case, if Frank Martin is willing to take the same amount of money that he was asking for to fight Shakur Stevenson, that little oomph, yeah, they'll give it to him. They'll give it to him. But it's very highly unlikely that they'll even approach Frank Martin with that extra oomph, with an offer at all. Because if you got a Ryu on the table, Ryu Venezuela, that's a Hispanic fighter, and then you got another fighter, Frank Martin, where they saying, okay, well, they share the same fan base. Which fight is going to be bigger? They going to pour that Ryu. Now, one of these fighters have huge names in the sport of boxing. But see, how they do business, they going to look at it like, okay, if we put a fight on with Gervonta Davis and Ryu, we can get the Mexican fan base, right? We get all the Mexicans, they going to come to show love for Ryu. And then the black fan base and the Mexican fan base, because Gervonta Davis have a lot of black and Mexican fans. All those fans are going to show up to show love for Gervonta Davis. So we got a much bigger fight than if we put on a fight for Frank Martin when all of the fans that he have are already fans of Gervonta Davis. So that's how they going to look at the situation. I'm telling y'all ahead of time. So if those are the two fighters on the table, y'all know what's going to happen. Y'all already know what's going down. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, the truth is, nobody knows who he going to fight. I don't even know if Tank know who he going to fight next. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this situation. What y'all think going on? What would y'all like to see? Drop a comment in my comment section. And y'all already know how I do. Diego talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.